September 11th, 1987. Three fishermen are moving through the Lewis River in Woodland, Washington. The kind of place where nothing dramatic is supposed to happen. Quiet water, gray skies, empty shoreline. One of them notices something caught near the reeds. At first, they think it's driftwood, then maybe a dead animal. Then one of them rows closer, and suddenly nobody in the boat is speaking anymore. Because floating in the river is a human torso. No head, no arms, no legs, just a body placed carefully enough that investigators immediately understood something terrifying. This was not panic. Whoever did this had time. The cuts were described as controlled, precise, surgical, and there was one detail investigators never forgot: two silver bangles, still resting perfectly on the victim's wrist. For almost 20 years, nobody knew who this woman was. No missing persons report, no public identification, no family looking for her in Washington. She became known only as Lewis River Jane Doe. But what investigators didn't know yet was that this wasn't one body, and it wasn't one victim. Because 13 days later, another river would give up another secret. And when police finally uncovered the truth decades later, they discovered something even more disturbing than the murders themselves. The killer had stayed behind. To understand why this case haunted investigators for decades, you have to start nearly 7,000 miles away. Fiji. Rajmati Narain, known to her family as Lali, grew up in a close Indo-Fijian community where family wasn't optional. It was everything. People knew your routines. Your neighbors walked into your house without knocking. News traveled fast. Silence was unusual. In 1983, Raj married Ashok Kumar Narain, an arranged marriage, respectable family, respectable future. Shortly after the wedding, Ashok announced they would move to Eugene, Oregon. America, opportunity, a new beginning. Raj became the first in her family to leave the islands. And at first, things seemed normal. She sent letters home, cassette recordings, photographs. She talked about the constant Oregon rain, how lonely America sometimes felt, how quiet the neighborhoods were. Then in 1986, she gave birth to a baby girl, Kamni. The letters became happier after that. Family members later remembered Raj sounding hopeful again. But sometime in early 1987, something changed. The letters slowed, then stopped entirely. No more cassette tapes, no more photographs, no more phone calls. Back in Fiji, the family tried to explain it away. Maybe she was overwhelmed. Maybe the baby was difficult. Maybe life in America had become busy. But there was one person who never seemed worried: Ashok. Whenever anyone asked where Raj was, he always had an answer ready. 13 days after the torso was discovered in the Lewis River, another fisherman found something in the Cowlitz River, 30 miles away. At first, investigators thought it was abandoned clothing, a small red shirt floating near the bank. Then they realized there was a child inside it, 14-month-old Kamni Narain. The autopsy determined she died from blunt force trauma to the head, and investigators noticed something important immediately. The child had not simply drifted there. She had been placed there, carefully, deliberately, just like the torso. Police now believed they were dealing with a mother and daughter. But in 1987, belief wasn't enough. DNA technology barely existed in criminal investigations. Without identities, there was no real case. And without a missing persons report, there was no urgency. Think about how horrifying that is. At the exact moment, divers were pulling bodies from Washington rivers. Family members in Fiji were still waiting for cassette tapes, waiting for photographs, waiting for a phone call that was never coming. And meanwhile, in Eugene, Oregon, Ashok Narain was still living normally. This is the detail that separates this case from most murders. Ashok Narain did not panic. He did not disappear immediately. He did not flee the country overnight. Instead, he stayed for months. Neighbors later told investigators that Ashok held what looked like a liquidation sale outside the apartment. Furniture, kitchen items, jewelry, even some of Raj's belongings. One neighbor asked where his wife and daughter were. Ashok calmly replied that they had already gone back to Fiji. He said Raj was homesick. Nobody questioned it. Why would they? But here's what investigators later realized. While Ashok was casually selling household items on the lawn, Raj and Kamni were already dead, buried as unidentified bodies. And somehow, through all of this, Ashok never reported either of them missing. Not once. Not to police. Not to immigration. Not to friends. Not to Raj's family. Nothing. Because according to him, there was nothing to report. His story never changed. Raj had gone back to Fiji. The baby was with her. Everything was normal. Then in 1988, Ashok quietly left the United States. Immigration records place him back in Fiji. After that, the trail almost completely disappears, and the more investigators looked at his behavior, the stranger it became. Because most killers make mistakes after violence. They panic, they over-explain, they collapse psychologically. Ashok did something far more unsettling. He adapted, almost immediately. For nearly 2 decades, the case went nowhere. The woman in the river remained Lewis River Jane Doe. The child remained baby Jane Doe. And in Fiji, Raj's family lived in a strange state between grief and confusion. They knew something felt wrong, but without proof, you convince yourself to keep waiting. Raj's younger brother, Bobby Prasad, later said the silence never made sense to him. Years passed, then more years, still nothing. Then in 2004, Bobby began searching online. At the time, missing persons databases were primitive. Search engines were unreliable. Most cold cases barely existed digitally. But during one late-night search, he found an article about the Lewis River Jane Doe. And attached to the article was a forensic reconstruction of the unidentified child. Bobby later said he froze the moment he saw it. Because even through the sketch, he recognized her. The eyes, the face, something impossible to explain logically. 20 years of uncertainty collapsed in seconds. DNA samples were submitted, and in 2006, investigators finally confirmed the truth. The torso from the Lewis River was Rajmati Narain. The child from the Cowlitz River was Kamni. After nearly 20 years, they finally got their names back. Most people assume this case is about rivers. It isn't. It's about trust. Because investigators documented one small detail from Raj's recovery that completely changes how the murders feel. She was wearing sleepwear, not travel clothes, not outdoor clothing, not something you'd wear expecting visitors. Sleepwear, which means when whatever happened began. Raj likely believed she was safe, inside her own home, near someone familiar enough that she wasn't afraid to be vulnerable around them. And once you realize that, the entire case changes emotionally. This wasn't random violence. This wasn't a stranger attacking someone in public. This was somebody entering the most private part of her life. The final moments probably didn't begin with fear. They probably began normally, and somehow that's worse. But even more disturbing than the murders themselves is what happened afterward, because for months, the man investigators strongly suspected continued living inside that apartment, sleeping there, eating there, selling furniture there, talking casually to neighbors there, as if nothing had happened. That is what makes this case unforgettable, not just the violence, the calmness afterward. No one has ever been arrested for the murders of Rajmati Narain and Kamni Narain. Ashok Kumar Narain has never publicly answered questions about where he was the night his wife and daughter died. Authorities believe he may still be alive, somewhere, free. But the part of this story that stays with people isn't just the crime, it's the silence. For 20 years, a family in Fiji kept waiting for a daughter who was already gone. Somewhere, cassette tapes with Raj's voice still existed. Her family replayed them while she lay buried without a name in Washington state. And the only person who could have ended that uncertainty immediately never did. Because the person who should have reported Raj missing already knew where she was. Rajmati Narain, Kamni Narain, say their names.